Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. Welcome to the podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by Horizon Therapeutics. Sean, what's going on today?
You sound so somber. Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be official.
You're just being professional. I love it. And you know what? I'm doing well, thank you. I am so happy to be at the end of September and finally out of the heat waves, or the heat wave that came through Northern California recently. I don't know if you know this, Kyle, but a few weeks ago, Sacramento hit an all-time record high. And I want to say the record was 114 back in the 60s, or some, decades ago.
Yeah.
And we hit 116 a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
And the worst part about it, I'm a planner. We're all planners, right? You have rides. You start planning a year in advance. We all have events, conferences,
right,
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, this particular day, leading up to our main event at work, the main event that the team I work on organizes, our big party, we call it the Bag Off. We make a video pretty regularly, every year. And it's really just fun, one little music video of sorts. And we planned our filming that day. And we started that day at 9 a.m.
Oh.
And I kid you not, from the moment we got out of our cars, we thought, oh, this day is going to be terrible. And thankfully, the hottest part of the day, right, is when, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that. So we were done by 1:30, but man, was it incredibly hot. Even at 7 a.m. when I walked out to my car, it was just not fun. Brutal. But we're all alive, and the air is starting to flow again.
I remember when I used to live in Sacramento, I didn't have the air conditioning in my house. And, it was probably 101. It wasn't 116, right, but, we could hardly stand it. We, had to go. We're like, should we go to the library or something? It's probably a lot safer there.
Or just go watch, 4 movies at the movie theater.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
usually pretty comfortable climate. Yeah, it was incredibly hot. Sacramento, we're in the valley, and Northern California, we do get really hot regularly. But for whatever reason, this particular heat wave, it lasted 10 days.
Wow.
Way longer than normal, right? So I'm just thankful to be out of that and sitting in a somewhat cooler environment as we approach deeper into the fall season. So.
Yep. Okay, Sean, it's time for Guess What right after this.
#RareIs, a program by Horizon Therapeutics, brings together a course of individuals speaking out about rare disease and what rare is means to them. It is a community that raises awareness of rare diseases by sharing stories, accomplishments, hopes, fears, and dreams. As a biotechnology company, Horizon Therapeutics is committed to organizations and programs around the world who share their common purpose to transform and better the lives of those who need it most.
Sean, I've seen this firsthand. I worked with the folks at Horizon Therapeutics for several years now. I'm often amazed with their active and intentional partnerships in the rare disease community. They launched the Rare Is program in 2017, and it's become a central place for the rare community to share their stories and connect with others around the world. The individual challenges in Rare are very different, but there's so much our stories can do to unite, encourage, and empower the rare disease community.
You're right, Kyle. I've been encouraged by the stories and resources available at www.rareiscommunity.com, and I encourage our listeners to check it out.
Absolutely. For a safe and inclusive place to share your journey, visit www.rareiscommunity.com today. All right, Sean, it is time for Guess What?
Yeah, it is. I'm ready.
In this game, we each choose an object, and the other has 7 questions until they have to guess what the object is. Over the last few episodes, we've noticed that it's really, really hard. Yeah. And so this rendition is going to include one clue right at the very beginning. Yeah. I've got an object in mind. I'll give you one clue, and then you've got to guess.
Okay, I'm ready.
It is something that you wear.
Okay. Well, let's see how I do. When you say something you wear, are you talking about Sean or generally speaking? So is it the general public, yes or no?
Yeah. People wear this item all the time.
And side note, I'm just clarifying, so this does not count as one of my questions. It still has to be in view of your studio, right? So you're not talking about some random necktie in your closet that you haven't worn in 7 years.
It's sitting right here at my desk.
Okay.
I just answered. Right. I just gave away so much.
No, you're good. Well, we know it's supposed to be in that studio area.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You're good.
Yep.
All right. So people wear it. Is it a form of electronic or? Yeah.
No, it is not a Sony Walkman that you wear on your belt. No.
Unlike the red one. I have. Okay. So it's not electronic, that's 2. Do people wear it all by itself, or does it come with something else? So, is it a solo item?
Yes. A solo item, yes.
Are you wearing it right now?
No.
That helps a lot.
Why? Because you were thinking hat?
I mean, that's something that came to my mind. Certainly. Do all sexes wear it?
Yes. That's
I immediately started thinking beard. I'm like, oh, you're trying to get creative here. Okay.
That would have been a good one.
So I got 2 more. Do you wear it to keep you warm?
No.
Do you wear it on your feet?
No.
That's all my questions.
Yep.
So that means I have to guess. Let's review. Doesn't require power, or it's not a form of electronic. It's not a hat. Everybody wears it, men and women.
Yep.
You don't wear it to keep you warm. You don't wear it on your feet. You're not wearing it right now.
Right.
Which means you're sitting in your podcast studio area, and it's there, but it's not on you.
Man, you are so perceptive and good at this game.
So, well, not really. 'Cause I'm thinking like, okay, why would you, maybe you have a jacket hanging on your chair, right? But you wouldn't wear that to keep you, why would you have a belt sitting randomly on your desk?
Yep.
Right?
When you hear it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I should have known that.
And I can tell you're wearing a shirt. So it's not that.
Yep.
And I would hope you're wearing pants or some sort of bottom half.
Hey, man. It's the magic of Zoom. You never know.
All right. I'm going to guess that the item you have in mind is a belt.
Nope.
Dang it.
Sunglasses.
Oh, that's...
How easy is that?
Well, I don't know about easy, but okay. That's a way better. I didn't even think sunglasses whatsoever. And I sit in front of a window staring at the sun. You don't.
I don't even know why they're on my desk, but yeah.
Well, it makes more sense that you would have sunglasses on your desk than a belt.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, anyway, great job. Now I just gotta hope you can't guess my item.
All right, let's do it.
So I'm going to start with a little hint. You receive these all the time, especially when you're in public.
Wow.
Yeah, good luck.
That's... Jeez. Okay, so it's sitting there in your room. Can you pick it up with one hand?
Yes.
Is it made of paper?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. That's a good one. Okay, no, maybe it's not a good one because I still have no idea. All right. Do people write on it?
Yes. Some do, some don't.
Is it something that is purchased from a store? Like, I don't know. Is it a gift, I guess?
No.
It's not a gift. The recipient, does it make them feel good about themselves?
I feel like that's inconclusive.
Okay. Not helpful.
About themselves?
Right.
No. 2 more.
Receive a piece of paper in public all the time. What piece of paper do I receive? Receive?
It's so stupid.
Oh, man. 2 more questions. Okay. See, all right. Before, I kind of blew this game off. I'm really trying this time. Is it used for something? Oh, dang. I have another question that... Wait, all right. You haven't answered. Can I ask a different question?
Yes.
Forget that one. Okay,
is that
don't forget that.
No. Yeah, go ahead. So still 2 more.
Okay. Does the recipient keep it?
I'll say yes.
2 more questions.
1 more.
1 more, sorry. Is it valuable to the person that keeps it?
I'm gonna have to say no.
I have a guess. Is it junk mail?
That's a really good guess, but no.
Oh, man.
Do you have another guess? Do you want to try 1 more?
I was thinking like traffic. At first, you know what? I was thinking greeting card.
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe you were.
And then I was thinking traffic ticket or something.
Okay, let me clarify 2 of your questions. You said, do people keep it? The real answer is some do, some don't.
Yeah. Okay. That's
asked,
what led me to junk mail.
Okay. Yeah, some people love it, right?
Yeah.
You also asked, is it valuable? All by itself? Absolutely not. But it could be extremely valuable. What I have in mind are receipts.
Oh, okay.
Now, I said, do you get them all the time, especially in public? Because you get them anytime you buy online too, right? But if you're out in public, they'll hand you the receipt. Some people write on there to help track their QuickBooks or Quicken, since you talked about it recently. You know, if you want to return an item, then you need it, so then it's valuable. So that's kind of where my head's at.
They're not always paper, though.
But they're a form of paper.
Email. You could
Well, right, but when you're
email.
in public...
Yeah.
No, leave me alone. Okay, I got you, and just be okay with that.
All right. Sean, I read a recent column of yours on Friedrich's ataxia news, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. It's called Living with Disability Teaches Me the Importance of Offering Grace to Others. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, what inspired this particular column was really the game I play on my phone. I've mentioned it before, but I have been hooked on Risk off and on for a couple of years now. Well, fairly recently, I started playing with other live players in the world.
Okay.
People I don't know. We just all log in and start a game.
Right.
Well, when you're playing the computer, you can almost kind of get used to their patterns and what the computer is probably going to do. So it's really easy to win and do well, right? But when you're playing other people, you have no idea what to expect, and it's different every time. Everybody's got a different theory or a different strategy to win the game. So I fell into a trap of always going after whoever hurt me first, or whoever, started to eliminate my players in a big way. I would intentionally go after them as a way of getting back at them, right?
Right.
And then what I began to realize was doing so made me weak and made them weak. And so if some other player who's just watching our little feud would sneak in and eliminate us both. and it was frustrating, right? Because I'm like, man, and it was happening all the time. So I then began to realize, if I didn't go after somebody with revenge in mind, I tended to get to a place where I could slowly build my army back up and remain in the game. And I really found this to be true when I would only watch the game or the board when I had a move. So what I started to do, let's say in the morning, I'm getting ready for work. Well, I would make my move and then walk away from the phone to do my hair and makeup, right? or go tie my right, or tie my shoes or whatever. And then when it would ding and it would indicate my turn, I'd come back to the phone. So I didn't really see what everybody else did. I only saw the aftermath. And at that point, it was really easy for me not to take any prior move personally, because I really didn't know who did what. I just saw the end result. And I began to realize this is a better strategy. I'm actually stronger on a more regular basis. Doesn't mean I won all the time, but at least I wouldn't die first, right?
Right.
And in a conversation I had with a friend one day, he started to ask me my strategy, and my key phrase was, "Don't take it personally." And it was that comment that began to cause me to just consider that mentality in so many different areas of life, especially when dealing with disability. And we've talked about it before, especially in a wheelchair or traveling. People do things that are rude, or maybe they cut you off, or they don't get off the elevator to allow the wheelchair user on. Like all these things, you're like, it's a huge lack of what I would deem common sense. But really, a lot of people just don't know better. They don't realize that they're taking up valuable space in the elevator when there's a wheelchair that needs to use the elevator. Or specifically in the parking lot, people pull into that handicap spot just for a minute. I'm just going to run inside real quick and get my coffee.
Yeah.
people don't realize the hindrance they're creating for a wheelchair user, or somebody that really needs that curb cut, or somebody that needs the extra space for the wheelchair ramp.
Yeah, no, it drives me insane. With your example of risk, it doesn't do anyone any good to express that insanity that it drives you to, right? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't do anyone good to make the other person feel small or to go to try to prove a point to them.
Sure.
Right?
Well, I don't know, actually. I'm gonna push back a little bit on that one. Mm-hmm. Although I agree, it doesn't help to make somebody feel small. I do believe it helps to prove a point. However, how you prove that point makes all the difference.
Yep.
Right? I think back to years ago, and I don't remember if we talked about it, but I was at a gas station one night, pumping gas, and somebody across the island yelled out, "Sir, should you be driving?" And she had a tone about her, right? That was very judgmental. She thought I was drunk. And I turned around and realized she was talking to me, and I forget exactly what I said, but it was something like, "Absolutely, I'm fine. I have a disease. You can read all about it in the SAC-B." An article just came out, right? So I told her to go read the article. And she immediately was like, "I'm so sorry. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And you could see it in her face. She felt bad. And I think in that moment, I believe she learned a valuable, quote-unquote lesson or perspective that she never considered. Right. But had I cut her head off and made her feel dumb in a mean way, or made her feel small, then it would have been defensiveness, and maybe it wouldn't have sunk in. But in those moments when I'm just like, "Hey, actually, it's X, Y, or Z," that tends to resonate a little bit differently.
Gosh, it's so hard to get to that spot sometimes.
You're
though,
telling
right?
me. I mean, you know me. I've got a short fuse. I love that Mary. We had Mary Caruso on not so long ago, and I love that she talked about her son Sam doesn't have a lot of patience, and I would argue that's me. I've gotten better over the years, but there was a time, and even today, it can happen. In a flicker, if somebody pushes the wrong button, I'm losing my cool.
Yeah, I usually am pretty good about just move on and forget about it. Yeah. But last week, I was walking out of work, and I double-clicked my car thing to let the ramp go down, and I looked up, and there was somebody parked halfway into the hash area. So that I probably could have made it into my ramp, but it would have been really tight. So I stop, and I'm pulling out my camera I was just going to post it on my Instagram story. I actually didn't have anything malicious in mind. The person did not have a license plate on the front. It's not like I was going to report them or whatever. But I'm pulling up my phone to take a photo, and the person walks out of the building behind me and is about to go to their car. And they're like, Am I in your way? And I'm like, absolutely, you are. And so anyway, the person walks by me, and I could see he was limping. He had some sort of physical either disability or injury however, there was zero evidence of any disabled placard on his vehicle. So I was fired up inside. I really didn't say anything to him. So So that was fine. But my point was that, like, for the next 2 hours, I was just, like, fuming.
Yeah.
And it like took me out of the mindset of whatever I needed to do when I get home, and like, just we have a million things going on, right? Yep. And now my mind is focused on this thing that happened, and it's like, you know what, if I could change my mindset, I could have brushed it off really easily, and usually I do, but I couldn't get out of it in that time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that with this particular topic, it's something we all know all too well, right? I can almost guarantee every listener right now is thinking about not that one time it happened, but the one time it happens every other day, right? It happens all the time. And, whether it's parking lots or the way people don't hold the door for you, they just kind of ignore it. It's the elevator, it's, all the things involved in air travel and public transportation. It's just a mess. And I really do believe that although unfortunate and frustrating and not okay, I think it's these types of experiences, for me personally, that have helped me be a little more gracious. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's talk about your experience last week, right? The guy was limping, so it's safe to assume he probably had a disabled placard somewhere.
Right.
And he forgot to hang
in his glove box or whatever.
Right. However, going back to Mayor's comment again, being a rules follower, I'm a rules kind of guy.
Yeah.
If you don't display it, it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
However, there is never an okay time to park in the hash mark.
Right.
And as a disabled driver, we should know that better than anybody, right?
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are or what your issue is. The hash mark is never a parking spot.
Right.
Now, I do think it's fair to pull in and let your passenger out and leave, but I don't think it's ever okay to sit there and to abandon the vehicle.
Right.
So, that's kind of where I'm at. And I think to your experience or your example, I don't think it's okay the guy parked in the hash mark, but I can remember several times or think about several times where I parked in a disabled spot and forgot to hang my placard.
Yeah.
And I go inside for 10 minutes or 20 or whatever it is, and I come back, and then I realize, oh, shoot, my placard's not hanging. And then I start thinking, oh, how many people watch me and thought I was rude or being a jerk, especially when I didn't have a walker, right? They just think I'm some young punk using grandma's car, or who knows.
Yeah.
So it's in those moments, I'm less likely to get angry when I see a car sitting in a disabled spot without indication, but there's still a part of me that's staring and watching and almost, trying to be the judge and jury of deciding whether it's okay they park there or not.
Yeah. So I think what I'd love to end up at in this conversation is some sort of, okay, when this happens, like, this is what we should think about, and this is how we should behave. And obviously it's not always as simple as that, but I feel like that's what we can do is figure out how to behave next time.
Sure. And it's going to be different for everybody, right?
Right.
If somebody blocks the spot and it causes me to miss a flight, that's a whole nother story, right? Over somebody taking a spot, and now I got to park a little further away. Like, maybe the circumstances are going to have an impact on the response or the action. But for me personally, what I've learned over the years, as my column alludes, I need to be patient. And when I have the opportunity to face somebody that I think is being rude or, being selfish by taking the spot or whatever it may be, take a deep breath, and maybe, at least for me, try to think of the big picture for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did they park real quick and run in because somebody was bleeding and they just needed a Band-Aid? Or did they park there for a few minutes because they're about to pick up their ailing grandmother who needs a little extra room? I don't know. The stories are endless, or the reasons are endless. But I try to personally have a perspective that I know most people don't have. Yeah. And I've only gained a perspective because, unfortunately, like many of our listeners, I've been on the receiving end of an unkind or unfortunate situation where people weren't hating Sean or they weren't blocking me or they, it was nothing personal. It was just they've never been in a wheelchair, so they don't understand the impact.
Yeah.
Beyond your example of the guy last week, it rattles our cages and disrupts the flow of everything that day or for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Would you say you've grown in that area of how you respond over 15 years or not so much?
Yeah, I would say, I think it's just a part of getting older, I guess, and being in all kinds of situations like that. I think everyone's been on the receiving end of something that they're like, I think that person could have done that better, and maybe I will next time I get in a similar situation, And so, and like you said, having been in that situation many, many times, I've learned how it feels. And nobody wants anyone else to feel like that. If we pause and consider how the other person is going to feel, because actually the knee-jerk reaction is, I want this person to suffer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
Like you want to see them get a flat tire as they drive away.
Right, but if, like you said, if we take a second to consider their perspective or consider the bigger picture that isn't just confined to this one situation, I think that helps a lot.
Yeah. There are still days where I get mad. So I'm not at all saying I'm there or we figured it out, but I do believe that I'm a different Sean today than I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, get better.
I know.
I guess is the ultimate message, even for me. And I will say, as a way to wrap it up, I gotta say thank you to Friedrich's Taxi and News. If I wasn't in the habit of writing and talking about these sorts of things, I don't know that I'd be any better. I think getting better takes work and intentionality, and having an outlet like this podcast, like the writing, I think all of these things collectively, and of course, like you said, getting older, I think it just helps all of us get a little better.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, there is something about writing it down and seeing it in front of you and being like, oh, that's what I mean. Like, and you internalize it a little more.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Sean, I know you could go on and on about this stuff for a long time, but we need to move on to thank you notes. We both know that gratitude helps keep us on track, especially in situations like we've been talking about for the last half hour. So who do you have to thank today?
I'm saying thank you to a friend of my mom's. His name is Ian. Ian is somebody who lives in her town and is a handyman of sorts who has been incredibly helpful for the last several weeks with some projects around the house at my mom's. As many listeners know, she's a hard worker and a go-getter. She can never sit still. And so her home, there's constantly something she wants to improve, and she gets down and dirty and gets her hands in the mix. And there's just been a couple of big jobs where she's needed extra help. And Ian has been a godsend. You know, he volunteers his time to help her like once a week or whatever it may be. And it's just been a lot of help. So thank you, Ian, for being available to my mom.
Yep, wonderful. My thank you note goes out to Larry Phillips. You may have heard me refer to him as Super Lario. He is the designer of all of our jerseys for Ride Ataxia and other projects that we have. He does a lot of the graphics for the flyers, for the website, for a lot of stuff for Ride Ataxia and for Farah and the Farah Energy Ball and lots of stuff. So thank you to Larry Phillips for all that you've done for us. This episode of the Two Disabled Dudes podcast is made possible in part by our friends at Horizon Therapeutics. Please visit www.rareiscommunity.com for more information. If you're enjoying the show, please share it with a friend. We talk a lot about community, and we hope that this is just another way for some people to find the connection that they're looking for. Check out our show notes at twodisableddudes.com or on your favorite podcast app for links to the items mentioned today. We look forward to being back next week. Until then, keep living with urgency. Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to donate.
Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app.